Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like it used to be, that's for sure.
no.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Monday, June 24th of the City Council. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The clerk would please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald.
Here.
Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Haremza. Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Mosrek.
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Here.
Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes from the regular meeting of June 10th. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So move, Madam Chair.
Support?
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Lamb. Is there any changes to the minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes stand as submitted. We have a presentation tonight. If the clerk would please read it.
Chief Platzer will introduce the city's two new police officers, Tess Grifka and Logan Kellerman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'd like to introduce our two new police officers with the City of Port Huron. We have Officer Tess Grifka and Officer Logan Kellerman. So Tess comes from Croslex. She's a graduate of SC4 and then worked for us as a police cadet for about a year before going to the police academy. Officer Logan Kellerman is a Port Huron Northern graduate, SC4 graduate, and worked for us about a year as a police cadet. Both of them graduated from the Oakland Police Academy back in May. They've been on the road now for about 5 weeks, and this Thursday they're just completing their first phase of field training, and they have another probably about 12 weeks to go. And if everything goes as planned, which I believe it will, they'll be ready for certified solo patrol sometime in September of this year. So I'd just like to introduce our two new officers to the city.
Thank you and welcome aboard.
You're welcome aboard.
And if you'd like to come up, we'd love to shake your hand.
Welcome aboard.
Officer Tess, welcome aboard. Homegrown. Okay.
Thank you. We have two public hearings tonight. If the clerk would please read the first one.
To hear comments on the continuation of the Downtown Special Assessment District for the ongoing maintenance of the Huron Avenue Streetscape Project. Following the hearing, Council will consider adoption of a resolution to continue the Special Assessment District.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 1 on the Special Assessment District on Huron Avenue? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion for adoption of the resolution.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrek?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, and the second public hearing.
To hear comments on the continuation of the Downtown Special Assessment District for the ongoing maintenance of the Military Streetscape Project. Following the hearing, Council will consider adoption of a resolution to continue the Special Assessment District.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 2 on the assessment for Military Street? Declare the public hearing closed, and with that, there will not be a resolution to adopt it because we have received notification in writing from a couple of property owners, as well as there was a vote taken with the property owners affected that they did not want to have snow removal as part of their assessment. So we wanted to go ahead with the public hearing tonight because we have to reschedule it otherwise. It prolongs the whole thing, but the resolution will be back with a different assessment roll on it at the next council meeting, and it will not include snow removal. Okay. We will move on to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council, please come forward, give us your name, where you live, and you have 4 minutes.
Julian Ruck, 750 15th Street. I'm going to start tonight by thanking Mr. Freed for using some of the Port Huron Fund through the Community Foundation to get us a shed for the south side space. It's super nice. It was actually the cheapest one on the spot, and I kept being drawn to it. Like, actually, I just really want this one. It's got a nice little barn look, so it's out there. And also make a formal announcement that I'm withdrawing from the race for city council this year. And right away, it's gonna be Julian got bought off with this deal and now he's not. But here's my reasoning, and I just wanna state on public record why I'm no longer running for city council. My goal is, and always has been, to end food insecurity in this community permanently as soon as possible, which means as little conflict as possible along the way. And whereas at first blush, being on the dais and moving along urban ag zoning and these type of technical things might seem like a way to do that, I think with Polly's Place, we're kind of culturally developing our idea of what urban ag zoning would look like currently. So I don't think that that would be, we're kind of in that motion already. And at this point, withdrawing from the race allows me to stay friends with everybody. No longer challenging the incumbents, no longer challenging the challengers. And everybody's like, great, Julian's out of it. So clean slate with regard to that. I'd also like to talk a little bit about what's going on out at Polly's Place. So by the end of this summer, I will have kind of the basic foundation in for an orchard, walk-around path, and an interior garden in that orchard, in that space, that the garden inside will be about the same size the original Polly's Place was, just surrounded by some orchard and some fruit trees. So it'll be really nice, a setup for that planting in the spring by the end of this season. But beginning next season and next year, I've talked to a number of you in person on site about kind of expansive ideas in that city block. And the one I'm most excited about is the idea of a public vendor pavilion. And there's basically 27th Street ends in the middle of the city block, and there's still easement for where the road used to go through, and a nice long pavilion where we've got stalls that already have shelving and tables and all those nice things, so that rather than kind of petition to get a grocery store, the community has the opportunity to be the grocery store. And everybody I've talked to, people in the neighborhood, people who would be a part of this decision-making process, and the Neighborhood Improvement Authority, everybody understands the value in creating that economic opportunity while adding these amenities. I said to Cynthia about it that to slow gentrification, throw out a bunch of free food and give people an opportunity to make money, And so that's kind of the first thing that I want to really look at next year, and that'd be like a fun learning project for the community. But then there are other things like a little food truck area and things like that we can add over the next 2 to 3 years. I have more to talk about on that, but I think I'll reserve the unveiling of our new brand and LLC for the next city council meeting. I think everybody's going to be pretty excited for that when it comes. So that's it.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council?
Brian Farquhar, 19th Avenue, City of Port Huron. My first kind of highlight, and I haven't brought it up yet, but I noticed we pushed something off the agenda last week, and I don't know exactly quite the reasoning for that. I also noticed we had a council member late last week. Maybe we should move back to 7 o'clock. Here's my reasoning for that. Is the city of Port Huron is an average income, medium income, city, right? and Google supports that. They say that the average salary in the city of Port Huron, $36,036. The average household income in the city of Port Huron, $47,906, okay? How many of you in this room right now had dinner before you made it here tonight? Okay. Me, I left Ann Arbor at 4 o'clock to make this meeting at 6. Dealt with the traffic through Detroit, all the rest of it. Like, it would be nice to be able to stop at McDonald's on my way. Like, I mean, I'm sure some of these other people would like, you know, to stop and eat. It'd be really nice for you guys if you got out at 5:30 to run home, change your clothes, maybe have dinner with your family, talk to your wives real quick, your husbands, come back in. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of whatever. The other thing is, the last meeting I was here, I got a lot of head nods, a lot of acknowledgement, but we're still not running water into the Black River. There's no pumps up and running yet. And I invite anybody to my dad's house, right off of 10th Avenue, after the meeting tonight. We're gonna go sit down on the dock there. We're gonna hang out for a few minutes. Come check out the water quality. Come check out the smell. It's because the water is stagnant and sitting in Black River, and we don't have the water flow of the canal. So that's just kind of, you know, my thoughts is I'd like to push back to 7 o'clock. You know, we've had some tardiness, we've had some things leave the agenda. We're kind of a regular person, you know, town. We're not really a town of people that leave their jobs at 3 o'clock every day to, you know, have a little time to make this meeting than at 6. So 7 would be a lot more convenient for the average citizens of Port Huron. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? Please come forward.
Good evening, Curtis Carl, Port Huron Township. Almost 8 months. You guys really haven't done much. Yes, the Roach is conducting business. I don't know if you guys hold any type of operational license above them, but you have done nothing about stopping them from having sales in their place. So they're going to keep their liquor license. Not sure who's involved or in cahoots with all that, but you guys aren't making a move on anything for us, so we're going to move on to a different topic tonight. Got a children's museum exhibit from the Port Huron Parks and Recreation. It's slated to open downtown in the fall. You guys have been working on that for months now, so there's time been passing. This exhibit is going to be at the Knowlton Ice Museum, which is located on 317 Grand River. It's going to be there for 3 years. Not sure if any of you all had been in the Knowlton Ice Museum prior to that. Awesome collection was placed there by my grandparents. Everything's been gutted out of that building. I think it's sickening. And you want to know why? Because I was on the board for that museum, and it was hell to get my grandpa to bring that museum to downtown Port Huron, and I'm going to tell you why. This goes back to 1959, people. So, back in 1959, February, Norman Mickey Knowlton had to file a complaint in Circuit Court of St. Clair County seeking to attack the milk ordinance of the city of Port Huron. This is all before your time, but it's not anything that I didn't hear about growing up. He had nothing good to say about the city of Port Huron. I'm not saying you guys, but the city did not want him delivering milk in the city of Port Huron. You guys wanted all your local milk distributors to deliver in the city. He was not local. He distributed for Twin Pines Milk. He was a franchisee. He had stake in the company. Yeah, you can watch the clock. I'm going to run out of time. And it made him sick that he had to take the city of Port Huron to court to make things right, to be able to deliver milk when home delivery was going to the wayside. He was trying to deliver milk to businesses and make a living. But city of Port Huron was stomping his ass out. It just grinds my gears. He got over it. And we persuaded him, after looking at many properties in Port Huron Township, we looked at a few in Port Huron, and he did not want to bring that museum downtown. But we brought it downtown because the Spike Furniture Building was the best place It has sprinklers in it, it's air conditioned. Everything is out of that building. Can you guarantee me that everything's in the same climate control building that it was in? No, you can't. Yeah, the cars are all sitting at tow book, they're under a sprinkler, I know that. I've done my homework. Randy Myers, he's a snake. I don't know if he's involved with you guys or not. But you guys welcomed his stuff into the city, and then now, well, we'll take advantage of that man's stuff. We'll just move it out of there. 3 years. You believe my grandma's, all her dolls, all his ice artifacts are gone. You guys might hear me, but you're not listening. There's nothing gonna happen. It's gonna be out of there for 3 years. He would not allow that. It was projected us that traveling exhibits would come in, some of his stuff would be moved off the side, maybe a few cars moved out. That's what Randy, that's how he sold it to us. He flipping lied. It's bullshit. I'm telling you. To manage somebody's money like that and all his assets and just to put them off and kick them away into a closet and then just take advantage of his building, and you guys have a pretty big hand in that. Why don't you put the shit in the Wrigley Center?
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening?
Olden Gothier, 11th. A little sick today, so apologies. And I don't even have that much for you today. It's just reiterating again that piece of sidewalk at the end of Glenwood could very well be a liability that wasn't caused in any due part by the city of Port Huron, but could become a liability to the city of Port Huron. And it would be a shame if that slab was damaged by contractors, if that went and happened to injure somebody and we became liable for it. And it would also just be a shame if we had to fix it with taxpayer dollars. It's pretty clear to me that some sort of large equipment ruined that pretty new slab, and it's just completely ruined compared to the ones around it. It will only get worse with time now that it's been kind of smashed. Regarding the two public comments today, personally, at the last meeting, I saw those were coming up, and I just think it would have been nice if maybe in the minutes online or something, there was just some type of link to be able to go and view what it was about. Like, for instance, Mayor Rep, you had mentioned that some of those owners down there had mentioned that they didn't want the snow removal there. Well, if I could just go and see maybe what currently it's all about, and that right now that assessment is including the snow removal or perhaps garbage or something. It would have been awesome if I could just go online and look at what it is we were going to talk about today. And I had been to the open government page, and it didn't seem like it had been updated. Maybe it was, just a little bit. It had Tainergate on there and some of that. But also the annual report on there was the 2022 to 2023 report. And we're wrapping up with the 23-24 annual action plan. I meant to say the annual action plan was the 22-23 on there. And it was just outdated. So I mean, it'd be nice in an effort of, government transparency if what was on there was up to date, and if maybe some of the minutes could have like hyperlinks to things that we were going to be addressing at the next meeting. That was it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? I'll declare public comment closed. For me? Mr. Freed is going to address.
Yeah, Madam Mayor and Council, I just want to point out to the public, the Knowlton Museum, anything we have done there has been in direct communication and consent with the Knowlton family. It's donor advised, everything we do there, we run by the Knowlton family, are gracious that they have allowed us to use that facility. There is still a large collection in the lower level of the Ice Museum that is being preserved and secured, as well as the current assets of the collection will be displayed in a rotating fashion at the Carnegie Center over the course of the next couple of years, that we'll be able to highlight it in a much more different facility. So I just want to let people know that we have had complete consent and communication with the Knowlton family. We are incredibly grateful that they are allowing our community to have this asset. As for the online reports, the annual action plan cannot be completed until the end of the fiscal year, which would be July 1. So that is the most recent report. The page is updated. Anyone who lived along the streetscape or owned property along the streetscape received a detailed report with cost estimates and what would be done as part of the streetscape assessment, what services would be provided, as it would affect them who own property and not just some random individual in the community. So they did receive an informational packet.
Thank you. Move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosherak. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, items on the consent agenda, confirmed and approved single lot special assessments for fines, assessments, and/or the cost of removing blight, blighting factors, and/or causes of blight, as well as the abatement of nuisances. Certifying the delegates to serve at the 2024 Municipal Employees Retirement System of Michigan Annual Meeting in accordance with the Municipal Employees Retirement Act of 1984 as amended. Giving the second reading and enactment of an ordinance to amend Chapter 52 zoning, Article 3, about the General Business District and Division 9 CBD Central Business District to allow residential in the C1 district and first floor residential in the CBD district. And we'll move backwards from the city manager. Number 1.
Accepting the bid from Ram Construction Services in the amount of $833,935 for the rehabilitation of the MOC parking structure rehabilitation project.
Is there a motion, please?
So
Is that you? Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support?
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is a part of a two-phase program. This is phase one, essentially triaging. We have falling concrete. As you probably remember, there's a story the Times Herald did. We have concrete that is falling literally on patrol cars. We've had come back and there's chunks of concrete and walkable pathways. So this is to mitigate the immediate safety issues. This is a tension cable building. A lot of the tension cables are snapped down there that must be repaired to make sure the building doesn't crack and collapse over time. We had budgeted $1.5 million. We got some pretty competitive bids, so it came in under budget, $833,000 and some change. With that said, we have no illusions that once we get into this, we're going to find a lot of things that we didn't know was wrong. And so that provides us a nice cushion in the budget should we encounter those emergency things or things that need to be triaged and can't wait till phase two that we can address now. We're also trying to address water leakage within storage for the police department as well. We'll hopefully be able to get half of it done. But again, this will be part of a two-phase process. For those in the community who think, why are we investing money in a building that the voters approved to sell, is because we're not ready to leave yet because we haven't found a place to go. And these are just simply, we can't ignore these issues. It's a safety issue. So the purchase price for the city hall just went up, about $833,000 for those who are interested.
Is there any questions for Mr. Freed?
Mayor,
Yes.
James, when do you anticipate phase two?
I would hopefully, that's when we can afford it. And so I want to triage it right now, but I'm hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from anyone?
Yes, James, I see we have ARPA and general funds that we're going
Yep, we're going
to
to use a
do
blend.
this. And where does it fall in place with the ARPA? I know we have certain conditions.
Safe public
Safe.
spaces and facilities.
That's what we're attributing to. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I believe that money was put aside before, was it not, for ARPA?
Yes, for about 3 years, we've had that
Yeah.
money locked in.
Yeah, but since, Mayor, but since then, we had a different thing, ARPA, because people were using it, other municipalities, and they had to go in and reduce some of that to where the allocations were going to go.
Yeah, what happened was when the original rules came out, I believe it was close to like 400 pages in rules.
Yep.
But then once the Infrastructure Act, you couldn't use the dollars on certain things because they wanted to develop a way to get the infrastructure bill passed. Once the infrastructure bill came passed, Treasury put out a new set of guidelines that I think was like 62 pages long. So it dramatically reduced what we could use on because what was happening was it was too cumbersome and people couldn't expel the funds in any decent manner.
Right. And that was the reason for this, to make sure we were in compliance.
Yep.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Mayor Ryan.
Yes, we'll move on to item 2, please.
Accepting the unit price bid from PK Contracting LLC in the estimated amount of $28,770 for the city pavement striping services.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support?
Councilmember Mosherak, supported by Councilmember Lamb. Is this, would you like to say anything on this?
No, this is the standard, we do
Pretty much the
it,
same.
yep, every year. And
Yep.
PK, pretty much any linear striping, they're pretty much. the
They
only
did it
people that-
last year,
yep.
too, yeah.
Every year.
Is there any questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, move on to item 3.
Accepting the unit price bid from Royalty Pavement Markings in the estimated amount of $60,505 for city pavement marking services for those crosswalks, stop bars, arrows, and other markings.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Support.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Pemberton.
Madam Mayor and Council, again, we break up these contracts because it requires different equipment between linear and the stop walks and all that. And one thing that's noteworthy here is I believe we had a resident come in a year or so ago, and she was concerned that the school pavement markings were getting faded and rubbed off. So as you will note, there are 22 of those in this contract that will be redone as well.
Very
So
good.
I can't remember who it was, but
Yes, I do remember. Is there any questions for Mr. Freed?
No, just other than this is just another annual
Yep.
exercise.
We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4.
Approving amendments to the 2023-2024 budget for end-of-the-year adjustments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Lamb, and could you please explain to us?
yes, Madam Mayor and Council, this is a standard amendment we do every year. I will say there's a couple noteworthy things. To much credit to the department heads, our operating budget is significantly under what we thought it would be in wages. Specifically, we've done a good job of reducing overtime, whether it's be fire or police or our general DPW. Overtime has done a really good job of watching the operations to rein in overtime. The budget will end with a very healthy surplus this year, which is pretty remarkable given that we had about $300,000 in storm damage from last July. I think it was July 21st. If you remember that, we incurred about 3 weeks of cleanup that was all paid for out of this budget as well. We also have some ongoing work with the Tanner Gate and some engineering costs that are factored into that budget as well. And so given those extraordinary costs, as to have a budget amendment where we're well under budget and ending the year with a surplus is I think a testament to superior management of the department heads.
Yes, it is. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just have one. I mean, usually when we entertain a move like this, amendments, there's some kind of shortfall that we see in the budget moving forward.
Yeah,
Okay.
fix it.
Okay, and this is the remedy to fix it.
This is when we do the amendments is because you spend money in different funds that you don't account for. So it's kind of a balancing to make sure that we account for our operations.
Yeah, because during a budget hearing, I know that McMorrin had, they were over budget.
They're also have
Yeah.
seen increased revenues as well. So if you look at the budget amendment not only takes in for different expenses, but also takes in for significant revenue increases that we need to account for as well. And McMorrin had higher costs, but it also saw significant revenue increases as well.
So it balances itself out. Is that what you're trying to say?
Not quite the way we would want, but McMorrin always loses money. It's just to make sure we don't lose as much money as we possibly can.
But this would help get them over the,
Yes, yep.
okay.
Any other questions? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, that concludes our agenda. A couple of announcements. City offices will be closed on July 4th in observance of Independence Day. And Spirit of Port Huron Award nominations are due by July 12th. I encourage people to submit those. They can get the information online or from the city clerk's office. It's just submitting a letter and telling what it is that the person does that you think that it's warrants the award. It can be civic, cultural, good neighbor. There's student awards, there's, I know I'm not getting them, economic progress, there's a number of different areas, and they're all outlined out there. And we encourage people to turn names in, because it's one time when we can recognize our citizens for what they do to contribute to the city of Port Huron. So I do encourage people to submit nominations. Is there anything from the council?
Mayor, I'd
Yes,
just like to
Council.
congratulate the men and women of our fire department for the opening of Fire Station number 1 this past week, which came in on time and well under budget. Beautiful building. If the city residents haven't seen it, stop by and take a tour of it. It's a beautiful building and something we should be proud of for the city. Thank you.
And there will be a public open house sometime, probably mid to later July, for everybody to come in and see it. And we will announce that prior to that time. Is there anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Meeting adjourned.